What is
Wait,
up,
wait, wait,
everybody?
wait, 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 wait. I'm just kidding. You can go. Just keep rolling. I don't give a shit.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to On Thin Ice, where Peyton and I we
Hey,
usually ask each other icebreaker questions and kind of riff off of that for a while because I don't know.
dude, I
I don't
had
know why we do
the
that.
worst, I had the worst moment of dyslexia in my life just now. I was reading one of our episode ideas, and I thought it said what do you think about minors? I was like, what the fuck did I just look at? That's not it. That's not even close to it. Do not expect an episode like that in the future or
What,
past or any time on
what is
any
it?
timeline.
What does it actually say?
Uh, I don't want to give it away. We haven't done the episode yet. So
Now I'm curious.
we'll just say I thought mirror was minor.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, I know which one you're talking about.
yeah.
Anyway,
So we got to savor the content for all the viewers.
yeah. Yeah, no, we do this so if you are ever in a situation where you have to break the ice with somebody, all you gotta do is reference back to this channel. We have more than likely given you a scenario or a topic to talk about for any possible situation. At least, up to this point, 43 of them. So,
Yeah,
that's 43 situations that we have helped you get through. So the tension is broken, that there's no awkward moments or anything like that, unless you end up picking the wrong one for the situation and they have no idea what you're talking about. That's your own problem. But that's for a different scenario, different story, different topic.
you fucked up having a conversation, idiot.
Yeah, that was your own damn fault. But anyway, so normally we will ask an icebreaker question after we have discussed a little bit of stuff beforehand. A couple of things
After we've
that
broken the ice,
after we've
we
broken the
discussed
ice,
that
yeah.
question.
After we've broken the ice with each other for the 43rd time, we're going to talk about the icebreaker question
Yeah,
and break the ice more. We're just going to shatter the ice. We're going to make a slushy. God damn it.
dude, that sounds killer right now.
I could fuck up a slushy. I'm not going to lie. But how have you been? What have you been up to?
Oh, since the last time you saw me, so much.
Yeah.
Um, God dang, dude. Not. I can manifest stuff. I'm always busy, so I can definitely think of something that's going on. Um, I don't know that anyone will give a shit, but I can talk about All Quiet on the Western Front. It was a fantastic book. I finally finished it.
Nice.
I've been wanting to read lately, and I have a class that we're reading a textbook now that's like how do you get kids to read, and of course we're talking about the state of students these days, kids these days. They can't fucking read or do anything themselves.
Facts.
But
Same.
this is I don't know if you've experienced this, but like also in the military, I think the youngest soldier that I have to look over is like 19, and then I have another one that's 21 years old. And for the love of God, dude, I think I don't think I ever did this, but I can ask them to do something so simple, and I'll give them clear directions. I'll give them a purpose in why we're doing it.
Mm.
And then I will see them not doing it 15 minutes later, and I ask them, like, why didn't you do the thing? And they're like, oh, we were supposed to do that? We were supposed to do what you asked us to do? Like, yes! What the
Yeah.
fuck do you mean? Yes, I said take out the trash and replace the bag. I told you where the stuff is at. Like, just do it. I know you don't want to, and that's the excuse is, oh, was I supposed to? You heard me say that. Think of a better excuse. ChatGPT a different excuse next time, so at least that's something funny to hear. But students are the same way, where, because I have my best friend, she's currently a student teaching. Actually, both of my besties are. And they're running into the same issue with juniors, where they're trying to push that fucking boundary. And when the teacher's like, I'm not going to read all this to you, you have to do the reading, they'll come back 10 minutes later, all the brain rot and the skibbity got to them, and they're like,
Oh, skibbity.
Oh, Miss Cakeley, you actually wanted us to read like the words that are on these pages?
Like
Yes,
the words on there? Read?
Mr. Brody.
You got
There's
me fucked up.
people aren't playing Minecraft jumping around parkour and shit. I don't know how to make sense of the information in front of me.
You want me to read this fucking. Sheesh!
Teacher, I didn't get the Fortnite Battle Pass for this book. I can't open it. I can't access it. Shut up.
You want me to read?
Read.
That's cap. That's cap.
We were talking about this in class too, because of just using millennial or not millennial, damn, using like Gen Z, Gen Alpha brain rot to teach students, because it would be really funny. So my bestie also comes in, and her and I are talking a little bit how she had to give the students her take on the AI policy because it falls into plagiarism, and there wasn't anything in their handbook about it. And the way she explained it is just the most boomer way, and I still make fun of her for it. She's like, all right, guys, there's no using AI, that is plagiarism, and they're juniors, so they're all like, we don't know what AI is. What's that?
I can't read, so this sign doesn't bother me at all.
And she tells them, ChatGPT, my Snap AI, yeah, guys, I know what AI is. I told her you should have just started saying a bunch of Gen Alpha bullshit to them, like Skibbity, Ohio. Yeah, guys, I know who the Rizzler is. It just blew their minds. But yeah, that's the state of things right now. And then I made the joke, of course, that reading is just millennial cringe. I'm hoping I can use this as an effective tool to help me teach, but realistically, I don't know how the hell I'm going to accomplish that. Getting students to read, people want to read. Like researchers are just saying kids want to read, they just don't have a vast selection, and they're not reading volumes of things. They're just reading, if they're reading the assigned work. Like less than 20% of students apparently fucking actually read. I came from that position, right? I didn't read in high school,
Mhm.
and it has bit me really fucking hard as an adult. I am so far behind all of my peers, and when you can't get through a book, you can't read as fast, and you do need to read all the time in life, you are taking up so much time trying to read that you're actually missing information by just trying to understand the words in front of you. And it sucks.
I just turned the accessibility screen reader on, and it just reads it all to me. No,
I just flip over to my Joe Rogan podcast and I listen to what the experts have to say.
I just turn on my Andrew Tate podcast and listen to what men do in scenarios like that.
Yeah, because I don't need to actually read. I'll just chat GPT it. And that was another thing that came up, was doing that so often. One of the other problems I run into is it's really embarrassing when you don't have an answer to something when you should have the answer to something. And it hurts my soul when I have to go and ask somebody else something that I should probably know. Because then you just keep pushing off the responsibility, and then eventually no one has any responsibility.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about the book at all, but read All Quiet on the Western Front if you haven't. I did talk about the first couple pages on this podcast a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's a dark and scary fucking story about war and how it just destroys a person's mind, body, and soul. And like when the character actually gets some time off to come back home halfway through the war after being on the front line and watching people get blown to fucking bits, he just disassociates. It's hard for people, for service members to come home with what was then called shell shock, now PTSD, and expect them to just fit in again into normal society. It's just been a phenomenal. It took me 3 minutes per page to read, but I was just so in love with the story that I couldn't put it down.
Hell yeah.
And now I'm writing a rationale on how to teach it in a classroom, and I might do that someday.
Nice. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would very much like to read more. I don't know if you can see right here.
I see the darkness.
Stack of books right here.
Oh, that's what's there?
Yeah, and then right here is my bookshelf with also a bunch of books. The ones on my bookshelf are more like novelty things. My World of Warcraft Chronicle books, and they're not meant to be read like a story. But
Yeah.
the ones that are on that shelf over there, that like ledge, those are all books that I could read. However, a lot of them are short stories, which I prefer because I don't know if it's an attention span thing or what when I'm reading, but I don't like sitting still for that long because I am also a slow reader. I did not read a lot in school. I fucking hated reading. It was too stationary for me. I would much rather play a game or watch a movie that had a lot of like visuals and stuff like that. But I do want to read some more now. I don't know. I've just had a desire to do so. So I grabbed a collection of collections, basically. Short stories, fairy tales, old folklore, and legends and stuff like that. Stuff that I enjoy learning about. And they're in small digestible bits. So that's my preferred method of reading. However, audiobooks I have found pretty enjoyable, even though I know it's technically not reading.
Yeah, I'm still going back and forth on that now because I do take in a lot from audiobooks, but there is a different practice and part of your mind that's clicking when you're actually reading the words
Yeah,
yourself, trying to make sense of it. But you are still experiencing a book if it's an audiobook.
yeah. No, I like audiobooks for a whole different reason. But I want to get to the point where I'm like laying in bed for like the last hour or something of my night, and I just read for an hour, and then I go to sleep. I feel like that's just something that has proven to be healthier for people and way better for you than doom scrolling for that hour or watching a movie or whatever, even though I prefer movies, obviously, but I think that it's just healthier. It makes your brain a little bit more sedated at night. I think it's a lot easier to fall asleep with stuff like that than it is watching a TV screen or a phone screen and all that. But anyway, you brought up
Yeah.
something interesting that actually I've been meaning to ask you because you're in the teaching space. And the only other teacher I have access to that lives with me is teaching kindergartners. So it's
Or
not
maybe children.
it's not
It's
an
a whole
issue.
flip.
But you are working with older kids, and that means AI is more prevalent. And
Yeah.
I am very heavy into AI. Like I go down rabbit holes of AI, mainly for my own personal knowledge. That way, I know how to incorporate it or not incorporate it, or what I should be looking for, what I shouldn't be looking for, things that are issues, things that are helpful, and so forth. Like in my own personal life, because I am not in a place where I'm gonna use AI to a malicious extent. You know, like I'll use AI to make funny pictures and shit that I can show my friends or whatever. Like a lot of the time, if I'm using AI, it's for my own personal like stuff. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with me like fucking making a fuck ton of clip art and shit to sell for like 25 cents a piece on some clip art website
Yeah.
or whatever. It's not me trying to create photorealistic landscape portraits that is going to put landscape photographers out of business. It's not anything like that. It's not me trying to write books or anything like that. It's for my own little hint of dopamine that I get from creating something cool that I find visually pleasing and that doesn't exist elsewhere. That's what I like AI for. But I do know that there's a lot of useful practices with AI, especially in school. And there are plenty of applications of AI that I would have 1000% taken full advantage of in school
Yep.
if it existed. 1000%. Hands down, easy money. And I would have been able to use it in a way that my teachers would have never known. Because it's just, I know how to do that. I know how to understand this thing that I'm using and put it in a way that my teacher's not going to detect that. You know what I'm saying? Even though they are
You
current.
think?
No, I trust me. I know there are plenty of ways around that stuff. Even though they are currently and actively working on ways to mitigate that, I know for a fact they are. But how does that work in school right now? Like in your
Um,
experience, how do teachers get around that shit? Like, how does a teacher
so
know if someone has used Chat GPT and changed it just enough to make it feel authentic and look authentic and get a grade for it.
So I have not actually been in my classroom yet this semester, but I did have a chat with the cooperating teacher I'll be working with, and she is being a hypocrite about it because I guess she has a system that when the documents go through, or it's even put in the schools, whatever the system the school uses for turning in your work, it has a built-in reader that's supposed to go in and catch whatever AI plagiarism and tools like that. Like the system Turnitin is what we use in college. It's been there since long before AI blew up. So there are reliable sources that can scour the internet for things for plagiarism and whatnot. But god damn, it's so hard to work around in high school because like
Well,
why wouldn't you use it?
on one hand, you have people that are trying to find ways to actively weed out AI. Okay?
Yeah.
You have systems that are trying their hardest to read a PDF or a Word document or whatever and say, oh yeah, this was generated with ChatGPT. But then you have the developers of ChatGPT that are actively trying to make it more authentic
Yeah.
and personable and less easy to read. Like, you have two things working actively against each other all the time, and it's interesting to look at. I don't know, like, I commend the people behind ChatGPT and some of the people that are working on it. I've watched extensive interviews with a lot of the people that are behind it, and the founder and all that kind of stuff, and they are actively trying to put safeguards and try to make it as safe as possible because it's out there now. That's it. I mean, it's out there. There are going to be people that are going to use it. There's going to be people that are going to abuse it. There's going to be people that are not, and so forth. And they're actively working on trying to make safeguards, but I think that we may be in a position now that that's beyond our control.
Yeah.
Because you get one person that has malicious intent and that is smart enough to make this AI do whatever the fuck it wants to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of pros, a lot of cons.
Or you just get lazy students that they don't want to put in the time and the effort themselves because for some reason, especially here in the States, we promote the letter grade, the numerical value that is given to a student to assess their knowledge and intelligence, which is a system that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's what people want to see as numbers.
Yeah.
Instead of actual results and creativity. But like the way I'm gonna work around it as best I can, I'm really good at reading AI stuff and seeing it just because you can read a lot of it and see that it's completely devoid of any humanity at all. Some high school kids talk like that, some of them don't. We had a lot in college that used it, and they sure as shit did not get away with it. And it was a much bigger deal there than it would have been in high school. But
yeah,
the way I'm gonna deal with it is pretty much I'm gonna do a lot of pen and paper stuff. And so, I mean, I don't want students to be on their computers anyway. I ended up having to do a whole project on how it affects literacy. It was staggering what happens when you're on a computer and you're typing versus writing. It's a whole different ballgame. But I'm actively working with it and pushing against it just to see how I can mix the two worlds. I can't ignore that it's here and it's going to exist and people are going to use it, but I also can't promote it to be like, yes, you should always use this because it's a tool.
Well, even pen and paper, unfortunately, you could just have it generate it and then write it down, copy it.
Yeah, but not when you're in a classroom and I say, all right, starting right now.
Oh, and also
you don't have your electronics out.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I got you. But if you have any home assignments, make sure it's handwritten.
It's hard to do take-home stuff. But at the same time, if we do reading outside of class, which is what students need to be doing more than ever now, is reading more. Most of the time, like 98% of the time, if you ask any of the AI resources to give you a book summary, it gets the details wrong.
Yeah.
It's really easy to tell. Or if you go to Spark Notes and it tells you just a fucking summary. Good teachers will ask you really good questions that are not just plot summary and yes and no. So you're wasting time putting more effort into finding the wrong answers when you could just read it and talk about it. And I'm
Yeah.
one of those teachers that if you fucking hate what we read, I want to know that. I want to know why you're not liking it. If
Yeah.
it's not vibing with you, you need to be able to give me the argument of why it's not working. I'm not going to be mad that you hate Gatsby.
Yeah.
Fuck Gatsby. It's stupid, but you got to tell me why.
Well, yeah, and then I would still like. I'm obviously I'm not a teacher, but like, if I were a teacher, I would want you to read something that you
Yeah.
enjoy. You know, if you're not going to enjoy what you're reading, you're not going to read it all. So
Yep.
if I know, okay, you don't like All Quiet on the Western Front, even though it is very like important to take in information like that and to understand how war works and what the effect of it is on your mind and body and soul and all that. I get it. It's not for everybody. So give me some suggestions. What do you want to read? What do you not want to read? You know, and at least that way you're reading something. If you only
Yeah.
enjoy reading Dr. Seuss books, for fuck's sake, read Dr. Seuss books as long as you're reading something. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, you
I
got to
think
have
reading
reading
some.
that's also an appropriate challenge for people as well. Otherwise, it remains stagnant.
Well, yeah, but I still think it's better to read something than nothing.
Yeah. No, you're. Yeah, it is.
But if you're reading something that you don't like, are you actually even taking in any of that information at all?
No, and if you're only reading what schools tell you to, even if the schools tell you like good stuff to read, you'll if you don't like the stuff, then you'll start to resent reading in general. Because
Yeah,
the way I saw it was like we had to read Fahrenheit 451, we had to read Animal Farm, and I loved Animal Farm, hated The Great Gatsby, I liked Huckleberry Finn,
yeah,
but I hated reading in general because I thought, okay, reading is reading these big, difficult classics that they teach all the time. That's what reading is. And I was so fucking wrong. I didn't know what comic books were until like 2018.
yeah. Well, I always liked in school when teachers would read to me or read to a class or whatever. But I never liked reading itself. Like I never, I like the Tale of Despero, for example. I think it was like fifth grade or some shit. Our teacher read us the Tale of Despero, and I fucking ate it up. We would only read like, or she would only read it to us like a little bit at a time. So the next day she'd read a little bit more and so forth. But that was a time where I was actively trying to sit my ass on that carpet and figure out what the fuck happened
It's not
next.
like
I was pumped to figure out what happened in Tale of Despero. And then she also read one. There was another book. I need to remember the name of it because I would like to go back and read it again as an adult. But she read one about some kind of treasure that these kids found or whatever, and they went on some Goonies style adventure or some shit. And I fucking love that shit, dude. I thought it was amazing. But anytime anybody would sit me down to read something, I just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Sorry. So I fucking grew up hating reading. There would be a couple things that I read, like I read all the Spiderwick Chronicles. It's only 5 books and they're really easy, like a fourth grade reading level or some shit. They're stupid easy to read, but I loved them. I thought they're great. I started reading. I started reading something else. Corona, I don't know, but anyway, I fucking hated reading, and I think it is due to a lot of the fact that like people were like, you got to read this for school, and you got to read this for school, and so forth. And when it was poetry or like Edgar Allan Poe shit, short stories, all that kind of stuff, I ate that shit up. I loved that stuff because it was short, easy to digest. It had some kind of like rhyme scheme or theme or something like that I liked. And yeah, so as I'm older, here I am liking short stories and little snippets of things that are intriguing to me, I guess. But
yeah,
anyway,
there's a plethora of reading material out there. You just gotta
yeah,
first find what vibes with you, and what I'm still trying to come face with the facts with is that it's okay for me to be a slow reader as long as I understand the content first.
yeah,
But it's really hard to sit and be like, you've got an entire book you have to read in a week, and then you're gonna teach it, and I have to be like, takes me 3 minutes per page. 3 fucking minutes. If I see a book that's over 200 pages, I've got to put it down because I have other priorities.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel you. I am a pretty slow reader myself. I do find that, like, if I am reading constantly for a set amount of time, I get faster pretty quickly. But if I stop reading for, like, a couple months and then I go back to it, I'm just, like, relapse. I'm slow as fuck again. I don't know what it is.
Relapsed.
It's awful, dude. Relapse into the slow reading again, dude. Fuck that shit.
Yep.
But, like I said, short stories and, like, smaller bits of stuff like that. I've got a bunch of, I've got this collection of fairy tales. It's like 5 different books, and each section is like fairy tales and folklore and stuff from different cultures. So I've got an African one, I've got Irish one, I've got an Arthurian one, a Viking one, and then there's a Egyptian one, and it's just like fairy tales and folklore and stuff from those different cultures and stuff, like, and these thick ass like fucking little fairy tale books and shit. But I started the Irish one, just reading a couple of them on my way here when I wasn't driving, back when we were moving in here, and I ate that shit up, dude. It's fun. Like, they're really cool stories, and it's also interesting to, like, associate some of the stuff. Like, for example, in the Poetic Eddas and the sagas of the Vikings and stuff like that, Norse mythology, it's interesting to see some of the very, like, nuanced things that get leaked into our pop culture from ancient texts like that. You know what I mean? Like, some of the stuff that came from those myths and legends and shit getting fed into what we know as the Lord of the Rings, or World of Warcraft, or Skyrim, or whatever. You know, like, seeing the little specific details that they chose from those things to incorporate into this video game or into this movie or show or whatever is pretty cool, in my opinion.
I like, that's fun when you've actually read something and you go, oh, you have the aha moment, like, this came from that.
Yeah.
That's the reference I now understand.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's nuts. And, like, I have a modernized version of some of the mythos and stuff from the Norse mythology that I started reading a while ago. And I remember, like, specifically reading a part in there that I'm sure has been done in pop culture or movies or TV shows or something before, but it was about a fucking giant's skull that was, like, the size of, like, a fucking planet, you know, like Nowhere or whatever the fuck it is in Guardians of the Galaxy, that big construct skull or whatever. But it was a giant's skull, and, like, the blood was rivers and shit and all this stuff, and, like, the amount of imagination my mind just ran with that one description of this thing was insane. I was like, my imagination's already pretty fucking massive, but then I was like, dude, I could make 30 different stories with that bit of knowledge right there. And it blew my mind. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Reading's cool. Give it a try, y'all.
Yeah. So, I know we were going to talk about movies or some shit, but I feel like we're in a reading kick right now.
Are we going to just continue with the reading?
I feel like we should just continue with talking about books, or I have another one that's probably a little bit more controversial that we can talk about, involving AI.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going into something else, but...
No, not talking about minors or whatever the fuck you were talking about earlier, but...
I don't know what happened. I don't know.
You need to read more so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I guess so. That's how you cure... oh man, I've already forgotten the word for it too. Look
dyslexia.
At that. That's how bad. Yeah, dyslexia. That's how you cure dyslexia. You just read more, idiot.
Yeah. No, that is another thing. I have pretty mild dyslexia. Like, it's not something that's, like, so severe that it's crippling, but a fairly often enough basis, I will, like, things will be backwards for me and flipped or whatever, and I'll have to read it like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, that's this word and so forth. That's another reason I read really slow. But anyway, What do you think the pros and the cons are for AI
God damn it, dude!
moving
You're gonna come up
forward?
with a haymaker like that.
Yep. Boom.
Um,
Start with the pros.
the-
Start with the pros.
yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of some.
Damn, that bad, huh?
I think so, yeah, because I hate it, but I'm a hypocrite because this poster that I have up in my office for the Pizzaverse is AI generated. If you want to pick it up in the store, maybe there will be a link. If not, I'll
Keep it.
put one in there. I don't care.
Peep the link, boys.
Yeah,
Peep the
some
merch.
of that's kind of neat, especially if it. Oh yeah, no, I don't even know where to go with that. I would say because it's free, but like we charge for it. But
Yeah.
the movie's also free, and we're just using shit to promote it, which is whatever. But I will say one of the cool things that I had never thought to use AI for that my uncle told me about was he would punch in a request for a recipe and tell it all the leftover shit that he had in his fridge, and it would give him something. Or like he had a box of beads with all different color, like a crafting bin or whatever, and he took a picture of it and asked it to give him some like crafting idea prompts for him and his kids to do, and it gave him a whole slew of things that he could work with. So I think
Hell yeah.
things like that, when you're just like, man, I have something here, I just don't know what it is. And you can do that with writing too. You might be like, I'm latching onto an idea, but I don't know exactly how to talk about it. And then sometimes you do just have to read a prompt that says maybe you could do this, and then oh fuck, I've got it now.
Yeah.
But that aside, all the negative, it takes out all the creative freedom of thinking original thoughts. And that's the whole point. You may have an original thought, but as soon as you put it into a computer and say, give me a thing, give me an outcome of my thought, that's no longer your thought that comes out. That is not a product that you made. That is something that was generated based on ideas that you had. So it's not your own original thing, and you have to give it credit now, because otherwise it's still plagiarism. So it's hard to work with that, and if you aren't thinking, if you're just like I just need the grade. So when my teacher does a reading conference with me, I'll just fucking ask ChatGPT to tell me what All Quiet on the Western Front, or I'm Glad My Mom Died, Where the Red Fern Grows, whatever you decide to read, whatever the Hunger Games is about. It's the same way, like, because the Hunger Games was popular when it first came out. For me, it was middle school. And kids, then, we didn't have AI, so what we decided was we'll go watch the movie, and it's the same thing. Guess
Yeah.
what? It's not.
Yeah.
And
I've done that a
I
couple
will
times.
argue that the movie is sometimes better. It is,
It
not
is.
often. It is sometimes better. Cherry is a much better movie than it is a book, and I love them both. But it's that same idea where you're just creating more work to go around instead of thinking things to yourself. And without those critical thinking skills, harder to make it somewhere good in life.
So, what do you think the long-term effect of that is?
People will not be able to think or read or write for themselves at all.
Don't think so?
And they will ask computers to do everything for them, and they will have no idea how to do anything. I
Think-
already don't know how to do much, but I know where to go to ask questions.
You think we're looking at a Wall-E situation?
Oh yeah. Dude, the first time I saw Wally, I was like, this is a cute movie. The second time I saw Wally 2 years later, I was like, holy shit, this is Earth. This is it.
This is
Which
the end.
do you know how the inspiration for Wally came about?
No, not off the top of my head.
It's beautiful and it is dark and it is terrifying. Around the time Apple started up and the iPhone came out in 2004 or 2006,
Something like that.
it was something like that. Facebook was 2004, Twitter was 2006. Either way, the person who went to write and direct Wally was working for Mr. Apple Jobs himself, and I guess Steve Jobs was a bad man. He was very mean to people,
Oh,
but
word?
he introduced the iPhone to this guy and his team, and they're like, "Guess what? No more BlackBerry. Check this thing out. It has buttons on the screen." And when the dude picked it up in his hands and started fucking around with it, he said he knows this sensation from smoking, and that it's a massive addiction and it's gonna be a global problem. And
Oh,
then
word?
Wally was made
Oh, word?
from that beauty. Yeah.
That's fucked. I
If
never
you haven't
got
seen Wally, you gotta watch it.
I never got the same sensation from picking up my smartphone as I did smoking. Coming from an ex-smoker, I never felt addicted to it. I mean, there's situations that like, yes, I could probably induce some anxiety if I didn't have my phone. Like if I was in a situation where I really needed it or needed it, because I guess nobody really needs it. It just makes things way
Yeah.
more convenient. But if I really needed to contact somebody for an emergency or something, yeah, I would probably start having anxiety if I didn't have my phone. But most of the time throughout the day, this thing is like sitting on the bed or on my desk or something. I'll message somebody every once in a while on it. Sometimes I'll doom scroll, but like I could give a fuck less about it. Cigarettes, on the other hand, I'm not kidding. It was a ritual. It was a regular ritual that I had a cigarette after I ate, every time I ate. Like a meal, not like every snack, but like if I had a
Yeah.
meal, I would smoke right after that. If I sat in my car, I lit up a cigarette. If I got out of my car, I'd light up a cigarette. If I was going out on my break, it was only to smoke a cigarette. Like that is an addiction.
Yeah, well, this
I
guy,
could put my phone away and go to work, and on my breaks I wouldn't have a single care in the world. I would go talk to people. I would go, depending on where I worked. If I worked at Walmart still, I'd go look at fucking video games on the wall or whatever. You know, I wouldn't give a shit if I had my phone or not.
yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, but also it's crazy that at that time they didn't know that these could do everything that they do now. I
Yeah.
mean, you had the stupid apps that was like a beer, and you'd go like that to make it look like you were drinking a
Yeah.
beer, or there's a lighter you could flick. I had apps on my iPod Touch that was like a gun, and you press it and it shoots, and you could tap it and reload it, and
Mm-hmm.
that was what we had back in the early 2000s. And
A little spider that crawled across the screen.
yeah, but the dude knew when he picked it up. I can't remember his name, but he knew when he picked it up of what those things were capable of. So yeah, I think Wally is a pretty solid look at what the future is going to be like. Everyone's going to be fat in a bed that takes them to and fro. Day and night cycles are made up, and you don't have to worry about anything because everything's done for you. You don't have to think.
God, what a life.
Yeah,
Sounds
I mean, if
beautiful.
you don't have to, then what do you gain from being that one guy that's like, I'm gonna go out of my way and do? I mean, you do gain a lot actually, but if it's easier, that's what we do as a species is constantly making things easier for ourselves. So when people are bitching that like kids have it easy these days, we did that. We made it that way on purpose.
Well, it's weird because people are saying the same thing about AI that they were probably saying about the printing press. You know, like every big development in how we consume information and how we use information on a day-to-day basis looks like an end time. You know, like it looks like, oh fuck,
Yeah,
we're going way too fast. This is way too fast. And now everything is pretty much all but hardwired into our head.
true.
Do you think that we're going to be getting brain chips that are just going to have AI plants in them?
Well, that's already in development.
Do you think it's going to ever ethically be a thing that people do and can be sold and monetized like Midjourney or an iPhone or whatever?
I think so, but there are also movies and books that go against that. But the real one that I know about that's in development, I think it's an Elon Musk chip, right? I forget the name of it, but
Probably.
it's an implant, and it sounds way more malicious when you just say it's a chip that goes into your head. It's a computer chip, but the intention of it was like a screen reader for people who were blind or visibly impaired, so it could read it for you, which is cool. But I read this book called Feed, which was another Wally book, but it was fucking terrible to read. And I thought it was stupid because all the language was like, what's going to be slang then? It was really hard to read, but it made a lot of sense. They had what was called the feed, which is basically just you would have everything that was in your phone or on your screen would be projected straight into your head. And they did it in Futurama too, when they had the phone that they just fucking snapped into your ear or whatever. But when that happens and you're on an internet connection, people can tap in. I mean, you are a computer at that point. You are now subject to what viruses and whatnot, and advertisements were running through their brains and on their eyes 24/7, and you break free, and it's just bliss.
I'm just waiting for the computer chip that we get in our head, and then we get a fucking like Trojan virus, and that dun, 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 and like the extent, like all the fucking windows pop up at the same time, but in our brain. It's gonna make that noise too. The ding. It's gonna fucking just like layer on top of each other.
The Windows.exe has stopped working.
Yeah, we're gonna get like a loading bar in our fucking peripherals or something, and then it's gonna start going backwards or something. Oh man, imagine watching.
If you have an update.
Oh, dude, what if you can't afford
the update?
Your
update crashes.
What if you can't afford the update and you're stuck in the year 3000 and everybody else is in like 4032 or something?
Yeah, that's the other thing that happens with technology is that there's always a bootleg version that's so much cheaper and doesn't do half the things, but it's half the price.
Or it's just like half the quality, like my camera just did. Come on now, focus, you son of a bitch.
So it's a funny joke. But also, it's been a raging problem that a lot of rural communities or communities that don't have enough money also don't get the resources they need. Like, not just kids can't get textbooks, they don't have access to a public library. Some kids don't have public transportation. Jacob's gone. Jacob died.
No, I just turned my camera off and back on.
Some kids, they don't have... they don't even have Wi-Fi. Like, the best way they can get Wi-Fi is to carpool with whoever's the oldest in their friend group to the McDonald's that's off on Highway 86 or whatever, 20 minutes away. So, you best believe...
I've literally been in that situation before. Like, that exact situation.
Yeah, so you best believe that there's going to be kids that are like, Mom, I want the new fucking X30 shoot myself in the head chip, but all I can afford is the fucking... Cyanide 35, and then they like, all right, well, here you go, Merry Christmas, and they give you the thing, and you're still leagues behind every other kid in your group.
It's gotta be the same feeling as like when everybody's playing a PS5 and you can't get one because they're like, there's a shortage because of a fucking global pandemic. Yeah. So you're stuck with your PS4 forever.
I missed the memes when Spider-Man 2 came out. And it was just like kids that people that don't have the PS5 right now, and it was Spider-Man 1 but on Roblox. It was some kid humming Sunflower.
That's awesome. Hell yeah, dude. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of pros. I disagree that I think there are a ton of practical uses that AI will make good. But unfortunately, I am not blind to the fact that it is going in a very, very, very disgustingly scary direction. Like a violently scary direction. And I don't think it would be as scary if it was going a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But it's going fast, dude. I mean, these guys are putting their fucking cinder block shoes on the pedal. And it's just going, dude. So, I don't know. I think a lot of the medical uses, the medical situations that could be helped with AI are good. And I think that as far as people's health and getting the treatment and stuff that they need at a better rate or at a faster rate or at a more reasonable rate or however the fuck you want to put it, financially or otherwise. That's good, and I would like to see that be implemented a little bit more, obviously in a safe and regulated way. Obviously, I don't want anybody doing some bootleg shit like we were talking about, but like,
Yeah.
helping blind people see and helping fucking deaf people hear and shit like that, and helping people walk, helping people get hands and so forth that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do without it and so forth, or maybe have a shittier version without it, But at the same
Yeah.
time, creatively, I think people don't just use it as a tool like it's supposed to be. People use it as a means to an end.
It's a
And
crutch.
it's a huge crutch in a lot of scenarios. Like, I think that the scenario you were talking about, I think you said with your uncle, where you were like, here's the ingredients that I have, make something.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. Because I personally have wasted so many groceries because I've had so many random things in my pantry that I don't know what to do with because I'm not a chef. I don't know how to do stuff with food unless I'm looking at a recipe. So, situations where I could have looked up, okay, I have popcorn, I have pizza, I have half a can of olives, and I have a couple of fucking grams of weed. What can I make with this? And then
You can throw it in the blender.
they're like, oh yeah, make a fucking pothead smoothie or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool. Obviously, that's a stupid example, but you know what I mean. Like, it's
Yeah.
cool that there's a thing that can say, okay, take all these random things in your pantry that you didn't think could go together. Bet you they can. Boom, here you go. And most AI is smart enough to know that, sorry, dude, those things actually don't go together. But if you could just get this one ingredient, like if you can afford this ingredient, then the rest of these could go with that very well, and boom, you can make this, and so forth. I've also seen people use it to help them budget, or help them get groceries at a cheaper rate or whatever. I think that's very useful.
That would be cool.
And time consume, or it takes away from the time consuming nature of certain things, or maybe people that have ADHD, for example, that have a hard time going to get groceries and whatnot because it's just it's one of those tasks that most normal people can do, but people with ADHD have a struggle with, like, doing stuff like that, and having something be able to be like, hey, just get this, this, and this. Boom, it makes it a little easier, at least from what I've read. I've read things about that kind of stuff, but or you say, ChatGPT, I need, or whatever, insert AI thing here. I need groceries for the week for 2 adults and 2 babies. I'm out of these things. I'm almost out of these things. Can you help me make a grocery list and find the cheapest rate in my area? My area is this area or whatever. And a lot of them will tell you, like, oh, this grocery store here has the lowest prices based on this information and so forth. And a lot of places will, or a lot of AI will source that information and put links to the websites and stuff. So I think situations like that, it's very helpful, it's very useful, it can be used for good and not evil. And yeah, I like that. I like that shit. But
You have reminded me of two examples. One of them super positive, one of them super negative. I will tell them to you now.
okay.
One of them is an ad. So you already know it's the bad one.
Oh
But
god.
but the really good one, we're going to start with that because ending on the bad one's funnier. The good one, I didn't even think about the medical stuff, but there was one that was done that an AI was used to detect someone's breast cancer that was oncoming that doctors would not have seen. I mean, it didn't like look at the person and go, "Yeah, you got breast cancer." It developed a chart that showed what the exponential growth was going to look like based on their current condition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if an AI can see that, it's like 6 years or maybe even a few weeks in advance, that's fucking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of the coin, this is an ad I heard and someone else was talking about, so I'm glad it's actually mass populated, and I hope everybody is as enraged about it. It's this stupid fucking ad that was playing during the Olympics recently, where someone this little child was, or I guess it was from the dad's perspective, but the father was saying that his daughter wants to grow up to be the best runner or swimmer, whatever. It named a specific athlete,
Mm.
and she's like, I want to write a like a thank you letter. I want to write fan mail to this athlete saying how much like I envy them and I want to be better than them. But having AI write your fucking fan mail and it came up with the most generic shit. If you ask it to write somebody a thank you letter or something like that, it just compounds all the greatest buzzwords you've ever heard of. It's like, hey man, what you did out there today, not specifically saying anything, that was great. You're an all-star. I appreciate you and the things that you do. You are and will always be my number one rock star. Shit like that, that's just like when you get a message from the manager that's like, hey, keep it up, team. You're doing great work out there. And you know they have not seen you or heard you. They don't even know you exist.
Yeah.
They
You
just know how many copies need sent out.
you've been working at this place for fucking 3 years and they still don't know your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you. But on the other side of that, there are way better AI tools out there that will write decent things, and whether it's thank you notes or emails or whatever. Like there's way better tools out there that will actually do a decent job at that now.
Yeah. Gratitude should come from the heart, though,
No, I agree. I'm just
not the
saying,
heart of
like,
AI.
sometimes like that. Sometimes when people are referring to AI stuff, though, they'll talk about the early days of it and the earlier years of it, or year, because I
No, it's been around for a hot minute. I mean, like,
yeah, but it's only been blown up for about a year or two now.
yeah, it's been blown up for, I think, at least the past 3 years.
Well, regardless, that's an exponential rate, and
Yeah.
people are talking about like the first year and maybe even into the second year when it's coming to like the generations of AI, but some of the stuff now is doing some pretty fucking terrifying things, but also very incredible things at the same time. So, like even ChatGPT is leaps and bounds better than it was last year. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like it's
People
fucking
feeding
nuts.
it.
Yeah. A lot
Listen,
of people,
man,
a lot of people can train their own now, so it like will remember your specific parameters and your specific style and your specific like thought process behind doing stuff if you want it to. Like you can tell it to like save certain memories and stuff like that, or save certain bits of information that you want it to, and that way when you say, write me a thank you note to this person talking about these things in my style, it'll reference the stuff that you asked it to remember.
Yeah.
Which is fucking crazy and terrifying and ugly, but
A little bit.
here we are.
The other one that I hate a lot because I just had to deal with this recently. I hate calling a company when I have a problem to talk with a person on the phone.
Yep.
And good lordy, like, I don't think there's a single person that says, yes, I can't wait to speak to the robot because it's always helped me out and I don't have to associate with any people because I'm bad at talking. Everyone is always, let me talk to a person. And that's what I say on the phone. I said, when they're like, what can I help you with? I said, let me talk to a person. And it'll say, sorry, if you could give me just a little bit more information, let me talk to a person, a human being. And even then, it's a trouble. But I tried using the chatbots that they have on one of their websites because credit union, I was having financial fuck ups. I always have a problem that's so specific that I can't ask their chatbot to help me with it because it was like my balance is wrong for these dates, it should be this much and it's happening on the incorrect date. How do I fix this? I can't ask it that because it sent me a bunch of like registered prompts, and when you click on one it just took me back to the top of the conversation I started with this fucking bot.
Yeah. I agree.
Need to burn it.
Well, most places, if you're calling customer service, most of the time, if you keep hitting zero, if you just keep hitting zero, it'll skip like most of the prompts.
Yeah.
However, sometimes they will want you to be at least in a specific department, which I understand. Like, being transferred to the correct person, yes, that makes a lot more sense. So getting to that, and then if they continue asking automated questions, just 0 0 0 0 0 0 0, fuck all that shit. Fuck all that. You got me to the right department, now transfer me to a human being so I can explain to them what my issue is, so then they can transfer me to the correct place or help me with my problem that I've been transferred to correctly in the first place. I cannot stand it. Now, one instance in which I actually did use one of the chat, like the typing chat, instant messenger things. I think it was AI. I highly doubt it was an actual person. But Amazon, surprisingly enough, had a decent one. I'm not going to lie. Like, I had an issue with...
I think their bot's Rufus, right?
I don't know. I just remember that this was maybe last year or the year before. Something like that. I think it was last year, because it was whenever the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering sets came out.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, and my order was all fucked up. I didn't receive most of my stuff and all this, and I was talking to a chat, like a fucking typing chat, about the situation, and they set me straight. They got my stuff ready. They got my stuff shipped back out, and I received my order the next day. Like, didn't cost me any extra money. It was a matter of like a 10-minute conversation on this chat thing. Boom. And I got an extra deck because it accidentally sent me an extra one of the one I already had. And I was only missing the other 3, but it sent me the 4th one anyway. So, anyway, I was like, well, that was fucking cool. And I'm almost certain it was AI, but I could be wrong. And if it was that good last year, it's probably 12 times better now. So...
Some of those services also have, like if you go into the chat feature, it won't tell you specifically, but it might send you through to a Discord. That's usually a group of people that are on there ready to help you with whatever you're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, either way, AI is scary. AI is big scary.
I'm going to try and learn more about it and use it more just to see what I can do with it, because I think I have an obligation as a teacher to do that. But
I would.
Yeah. I can't just tell kids no all the time. I got to tell them why.
Yeah. No, I agree. How about you write a book and release it to the public using nothing but ChatGPT?
I should finish writing my book, publish it, and then publish the AI version of it where I just give it plot details.
Yeah.
And like character names and stuff.
Do it.
Dude, it might be better than mine. Then what do I do?
You better get it done. You better do it now.
It was a joke. I actually wrote the good one.
You better do it now while ChatGPT is still in its infancy. That way, by the time it's actually really, 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 really good, you will have already had the shit copy that it made, and you can laugh at it.
Yeah, I think there's enough empty, hollow AI-generated books that people are uploading through the Amazon store right now. I don't want to add to it.
That's pretty rough. But
yeah,
I will say, there's been a couple times, like, I've been writing short stories and stuff in my free time. My own short stories out of my own noggin with my own fingies, where I'll get stumped once in a while, and I'll put like the paragraph that I have written into ChatGPT, and I'm like, okay, I need something right here, just this one thing. I don't know what the fuck goes here, but I know this needs to be something, and it'll spit something out for me, and a lot of the time it does help quite a bit. And then I'm like, oh shit, okay, cool, and then I go back to my own doc, and I'll just like continue typing up and so forth. But little shit like that I fucking love. I love ChatGPT for, I'm not gonna lie. It makes things a lot easier, a lot more streamlined. But I don't have any shame, because I write my own shit. I have my own imagination, my own thought process. I've got too much creativity in me to justify creating a whole fucking story based on nothing but shit that ChatGPT has given me. And again, it's something I use very sparingly. It's not something I force feed all my stuff into, and then it just gives me everything back in a better way. Like I said, it's mostly just like I'm stuck on this specific word or this specific phrase or item or name maybe or whatever, something small, and then Oh, yeah, that actually sounds pretty cool. All right, cool. Back to business and so forth. But
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, as long as people are using it like that and not just like, hey, ChatGPT, type me a story about a penguin going on an adventure with Glock. And then it just fucking spits out a penguin carrying a Glock around New York City or some shit. And, all right, send.
That sounds like a good short story.
Honestly, I might do that. Just came up with that out of my own head. No ChatGPT at all.
See that? It can happen. You see this, freshmen, high school kids?
Show me off. I am ChatGPT. No. I think use it sparingly. Use it to help, not to do everything for you. Use it to help you enhance your own creativity, your own stuff, your own situations that you like legit need help with. But don't use it to do everything for you. I mean, your brain is going to deteriorate.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Because there's also the other. I'll just give an example. So, the soldiers that I have in my platoon are like students in the way that they don't want to take tests or quizzes. Nobody likes them. So when I hand them a test, because they have to have a test for driving any piece of equipment, and they were all bitching and moaning because they're like, "Oh, Sergeant, can you just give us the answers, man? Can you just read off the answer?" And it was multiple choice. And like, can you just read off the answers? Yeah, I could, and you're gonna get licensed no matter what. But I told them, I was like, look, you can ask your friends. You can use your phones to search up the answers. I don't expect you to just guess this shit and retake it. But at least at that point, they have to read the question and then go and look it up. And they have to read the answer. If I just say 1 is A, you will have no idea what question 1 is or what option A is.
Yeah.
So there's that little bit of implementation that you can try with it. There was another point in there, but I totally forgot what the hell it was. Oh yeah, it was because you were saying that it's not good for your brain will deteriorate after so long. But it'll become that where you might look up something, you might ask ChatGPT to do something for you. It'll give you the thing and you may say, "Oh yeah, that works," and put it in. Most students aren't doing that. They will look at it and they'll go, "Okay, it gave me the thing I asked for," and then they just take it and run with it. So if you come across the same fucking problem later in the future, they don't think, "Oh, I know this because I read the answer once." They'll think, "I'll go to ChatGPT."
Yep. Pretty much.
Missed the point.
Missed the whole point. The whole point. It's a shame. Damn shame.
Yep.
But anyway, unless you had any closing thoughts, that's about all I had. Even though it's not not even the fucking icebreaker we were planning for, but dude, we were going on a roll with the fucking reading and AI shit.
Who would have known that I actually had small talk that ended up turning into something?
That wasn't a movie update either.
No.
It was a book update.
Books, yay!
Hell yeah.
Read more.
Hell yeah. Anyway, on that note, let us know down in the comments below. What do you guys think of AI? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the stuff that's in between pros and cons? All that good stuff. Make sure you like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this or anything else we have on the channel, because we've got a bunch. A whole 40-something other videos that we have on amazing, detailed, intricate, well-thought-out, thought-provoking, insanely talented gentlemen talking about icebreaker questions. And
well researched as well. Everything we say here is backed up 100%
with
facts.
Yep. That's
Please don't.
That's just the way it is. But hopefully, at the very least, even if you don't get any good tension-breaking situation starters from these videos, at the very least, hopefully you get a chuckle or a smile on your face. And I'm satisfied with that. And we'll see you in the next one.